Oh, Sydney, it's because you got them all done yesterday. How come men only? Because it's an educational life for men to unpack men's misogyny. Outrage! Yeah, that was a whoops, which was recovered by, then just to let you know. Don't mention misogyny until there's no misandry. There is no misandry, Karim, so that worked well, didn't it? Goodness me. Unfortunately, there is no proof. So again, Kareem, you're in the right place to learn, but you're not addressing it appropriately, let's say. You're not leading with facts. You're just leading with feelings. There is no proof. Ice Cube, age and pronouns. Second one now. Okay, I might need to get a block on that. Hey Mackie, how's it going? Chetnut only for about 5 minutes. So women can be misandry? I don't think that quite makes sense, sorry. We are indeed, we're just getting started. Okay, thanks for messaging, because now I can block you. That's good to know, that's good. James, yeah, so misandry doesn't exist, it's just Darvo. Because if you think about every time that a woman might say something that you would define as misandry, then we need to recognize where it's come from. It's come from experience and actual reasoning. So therefore there's no prejudice involved, which is part of the definition of misandry. Women's experience is that they live in a world which is upheld by misogyny. That's what the patriarchy is. Callum, no, that would be a friendship. That's not a friend zone. They're not synonymous to each other. Auntie, think about your name and think about why you're not coming back. And that's it. That's what we have to recognize, right? So women having that experience of men is realizing that actually, statistically, men disproportionately harm women and girls. 1 in 3 women experiencing some form of SA in their lifetime. The statistics suggest that actually, even if you look at healthcare, legal, social, media, education, all of these sectors are healthcare. I think I said that already, but all these sectors is flooded with misogyny. So as someone said in the chat there, it's a system. So Ollie, is that propaganda or is that statistical? Again, is it systemic? Are you focusing on a marginalized community? Please explain how a man's role is not provider and protector. Men have never provided. Making the claim that men, provided financially during a time when women weren't allowed to work, that's not something to brag about. I wouldn't say that that's men being a provider. Like, hey, I provide the money, but you can't, so therefore, no choice, right? So I wouldn't say that that's providing. Secondly, protecting. Well, if men are causing the disproportionate harm, you'd have to say men are the predators, and you can't be both. So I don't know how men are actually protecting on a daily basis. If you think a man's role is to be a protector, the only way they can fulfill that role is if men are causing harm. Otherwise, what are you protecting against? Sam, if you wouldn't mind putting it in the chat, that'd be great. Uncle, Asian pronouns, please. I hope you're well, though, Sam. Imagine wanting to come back on like that many accounts. That's really embarrassing. You've got nothing better to do. All men until no men. All men hold on to misogyny and have a responsibility to unpack it. Women's biggest form of oppression is gender-based violence, and so women being wary and cautious of all men is completely understandable. Yeah, Rossetti, as I was saying earlier, we have to acknowledge that part of the definition of the misandry is prejudice towards men. Prejudice would mean not having actual reasoning or experience. Women have actual reasoning and experience. They have both, because women experience misogyny in all parts of the patriarchy and the system that we live under. So women not liking their oppressors is completely justified. It's understandable. Expressing the hatred towards the behavior of men, well, that's the same, but that's the same thing. Use a holy white knight. Hey, holy red flag, you know? Put that in your username next time. That might make things a bit clearer for other people. Katie, they are men. Ollie, I just already explained to you, it's not done systemically. If something's done anecdotally, that's not a reflection on how society has experienced that behavior or oppression collectively from a group of people. Liam, it could, but the difference is men have always been called the protectors and providers and women haven't. So that's why we're focusing on how men are not. Okay, that's the traditional stereotypical role of a man, being a protector and a provider. That's something that men have always used as a way to benefit themselves in many different situations, including dating and relationships. Danuta, good to see you again. Hope you're well. Rossetti, there's no systemic evidence of misandry existing. So it's the equivalent of someone saying something that's not very nice. It's not even targeted towards you individually. So I don't know why men would be taking offense to something that's not about them. Carl Brown, I'm sorry that happened to you. In the same breath, again, that's not a representation of women systemically doing that disproportionately. Holy rage bait, holy red flag. Put it in your name next time so people can see clearly, please. Thanks, Lily, for the follow. Appreciate it. Neve, the energy is that there's a lot of men trolling, I think, and in the chat, men not wanting to come up and actually talk about it. Other than that, it's okay. Appreciate it, Vintage. Sammy and Anastasia, can you just let me know if you are men that disagree? Because I'm looking for men who disagree to join the box. Ollie, because that's how you recognize the prejudice aspect. Like literally women experience it every day, even indirectly from men, because of the system that we live in. That's what creates the actual experience of what men have created and continue to uphold. Joel, that's really good. I'm quite awake, to be honest, so I'm not looking to go to sleep yet. But thank you for your concern. I appreciate it. Joel, if you could just put a little red flag next to your name for everyone to see, that would be great. I think that would really help a lot of people. John, that's quite old, to be honest. No, Sam, I mean goodbye. No, this is not bait. This is men unpacking their misogyny. This is how I was going to accept Aiden, and then it disappeared. John, that's quite old. That's a long time ago now. Rain, good to see you. Thanks for the follow, Soph. Yeah, I think it was about a month ago, to be honest. Yes, Kay, women do have internalized misogyny. Yeah, Joel, like I said, put a red flag next to your name so people can see it and then they can stay away from you. That would really help. If you want to be part of the solution, do that. That would be great. If you say so, Marius. If you say so. Goodbye. Risetti, I would say that's a big part of it. But again, I would say that if you're saying it's interpersonal, how many women are saying that they hate men but also have men in their lives that they love? Like, how far does that so-called hatred extend to? Or is it focused on the behaviors of men? It's like, trigger warning to the chat, but you hear phrases like, oh, I'm so hungry, I could eat a... And you can put a word in front of that, right? But you couldn't literally eat that much, but it really emphasizes the feeling of your hunger. So when women are saying, God, I hate all men, or whatever it might be that they say, what's really being said behind the message? Like, genuinely. Jay, age and pronouns, please.
Uh, 21, and he, him.
Thank you. Which prompt do you disagree with?
Um, Body count doesn't matter. I think that does matter.
Okay.
Uh,
I think if a man has an issue with a woman's body count, it's rooted in misogyny or insecurities, and I think that's projected onto body count being the problem.
and I think that body count matters for men and women. Because specifically for the fact that people who, and not necessarily the number, but necessarily the quality of person that you are doing it with. Because if you had a partner who's had I don't know, uh, two or three sexually transmitted disease, whether they're curable or not, um, I think that that in itself shows that you have a lack of uh, care and care for your own well-being, because you don't know if they have another one, or may uh, do something,
So, Jay,
anything of the sort.
the issue I have with your wording is that, and for those in the chat, can we please not comment on the way people talk because that's ableist. You will get muted. So, Jay, the way in which, like, the words that you're saying is that a woman's quality as an individual decreases if they have schmex more, or if they contract an STI. That's a misogynistic thing to say about women, that she as an individual, her quality decreases.
No, I don't mean, no, I'm not specifically talking about women. I'm talking about people as a
Doesn't
whole.
matter. Doesn't matter if you're saying it about men as well. If you're still saying it towards women, which is inclusive of people, then you would be misogynistic towards them because you still believe
Um,
that her quality as an individual decreases. Now you mentioned
no,
STI. Well, that was what you said.
can I? You gonna will you continue? You can continue what you were saying, my fault.
That's okay. So you then mentioned STIs, right? Now,
Mhm.
if a woman had a body count of 2 and she never used protection and she didn't have any tests that she could show you to say whether she was clear of any STIs, or you had a different woman who had a body count of 10, but she always used protection and she could show you a test that would show that she has no STIs. Who would you feel more comfortable having schmex with?
Uh, the one with 10, the one with 10.
Okay, so what we have to recognize here is your issue is not then a woman's body count, because in this situation hers is higher. Your issue is whether or not women practice safe schmex, which is absolutely fine, by the way. Like, people should want to engage in safe schmex and have schmex with people that have also been safe. So your issue there is not someone's body count. Your issue is people practicing safe schmex. Because in that situation, clearly you would still prefer to be with the person who has a higher body count. But because she's been safe and because she's got an STI test to show you, what's important to you is that someone practices safe schmex, which she did. So therefore, that's not a body count issue.
I I wouldn't consider, but that's the thing. I wouldn't consider 10 being a high body count
But
person
even
for
if it was
mine.
20, so hold on, is there a number where you would prefer to be with the woman who did it twice and never got tested and can't show you proof whether she has any STIs or not, versus the other person who has done it every single time?
And it has proof every single time.
Yeah, literally. Like, if she did it 50 times and she used protection every time and she can show you an STI test, whatever number it is there a number you'd reach where you would suddenly prefer to be with the person who's done it twice, who never got
Yes,
tested and didn't use protection?
yes,
Then you
yes.
don't
That's
then you don't care about contracting STIs. You can't say that because your logic's not consistent. Because you would go
because,
every time for the person who has been safe if it bothered you that much that you could contract one.
but we- my number is also not very realistic. That's what I'm saying. Like the number that I'm associating with that is not very realistic thing that I don't think any woman has.
What number?
I'm thinking like 150. I'm
Right.
thinking
But
150 plus.
so the reason I don't believe you is because if you met a woman and it was 145, you wouldn't be able to explain to me the difference of that extra five that makes you now feel differently towards them.
I
There's no
can.
reason why from 145 to 151, suddenly now it makes a big difference.
I can. The reason why. Okay, so I can explain it because. Oh, hold up. I just my whole brain just got flooded right.
That's fine. I'll make it easier for you. Explain to me why someone who's done it 80 times and someone who's done it 85 times, no issue. But someone who's done it 145 and someone who's done it 150, now there's an issue.
Um, because of the amount that it is. Like it's such a large amount of people. I don't even think I know 100. I don't even think I know. I don't even think I know 80 people. In like, I don't even think I don't even think I know 80 people.
But you said 80 is
Like,
okay. You said 85 is okay. You even said 126 is okay. But
yeah.
as soon as you get to 150, suddenly now that's an issue. So whether you know 80 people or not is regardless. Like, that's irrelevant.
But al- also this. I think that also, also the act of sex, like the act of sex itself. I think that it is a more personal, it personal instance, personal thing between lovers. Like that is the original. Like I don't want to say original. I mean,
But
but I that's what I think it is.
that doesn't bother you because you said that like 150 is a problem, but 112 is fine.
Yeah, but also 100.
I mean, I can hear you laughing. It might be a nervous laugh, but I'm getting the impression that I don't know. It doesn't sound like you're taking this seriously because the logic's not being consistent throughout the whole thing.
Okay. You're right. I'm trolling. I'm trolling. All right, let me give you a realistic number. Let me give you a realistic number.
No, just come back when you want to take it seriously because people here are actually like wanting to learn. Agent pronouns, please.
Hey there.
Oh yeah, agent pronouns, please.
Age of pronouns, I'm 20 and he, him.
Thank you. Wherever you are, there's a really loud echo. Is that
Yeah,
possible?
yeah, let me just get outside. I'm in
Appreciate it.
a stall right now. I'll be right outside. Can you wait for like 2 seconds? That's all right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, there's a truck outside. Awesome. All right, I can hear you though, I think.
That's all good. Which prompt do you disagree with?
Okay, so first I just wanted to ask, what's the friend zone argument first before I go into the one that I'm actually passionate about?
Sure. So it's not an
Because I've had.
argument. It's just that there's no such thing as a friend zone because I think there's a behavior or an emotion that does exist, and because that hasn't been dealt with, I'm just going to mute you because of the background noise. I'll unmute you when it's well, I suppose when I finish. So I think that there is an emotion or a behavior that does exist, and because that individual doesn't want to address it, they then avoid it and say that they're in the friend zone. That doesn't mean they are now in the friend zone. What it actually means is they are deflecting and avoiding what needs to be dealt with. That's why I don't think it exists. Over to you.
Okay, so I've actually had like a lot of friendships with women that I think have been my most fruitful friendships, and I will admit a lot of them did come in at the start of being romantically interested in them, but that was mostly because when I was younger there were like limited options since I was homeschooled and they were homeschooled, so it's kind of just like might as well. But
So hold on,
after that we've been
hold on.
friends for like
Aiden,
over a decade now.
let's address this, right? So essentially what you're saying is that you wanted to be with them romantically, but you posed yourself as a friend.
No, I'm saying at first I made it very clear that they were physically attractive. I was like, let's just see if this will go somewhere. They said no, or some of them said sure, and then we went on a date, and then it didn't end up being that romantic, or we just didn't feel like we were interested in each other that way. But we actually really did like each other's humor and personality, so we just continued being friends, and I've been friends with these women for, I would say, a big majority of my life, almost half my life.
Do you have a partner now?
I do not have a partner now, no.
And do you know that any of those women said to you, "Hey, I've started to develop an attraction towards you, and I want to be with you"? What would you say?
If any of those women said that, well, I would say no, honestly.
Okay, so
Because,
you're in a friendship.
yeah, I'm in a friendship, so that is the friend zone.
No, it's not because it's a friendship. We don't need to call it something that it isn't, right? That you're in a friendship. Are you in a friendship with men or are you in a friendship?
Okay, so that's why I was confused. I was wondering if you were saying men and women can't be friends, or
No,
if
of
you were
course.
saying, okay, all right, so then we agree on that point. But all right, so the real point I'm actually passionate about is the body count one. I hate to make you do this twice in a row, but for me, I am waiting till marriage, and I would like to find a woman who's also waiting till marriage.
Is that from a religious perspective?
Um, I would say it's more personal than religious, but I am religious. I would not say that I am. A lot of my friends are religious, but they also are not waiting till marriage. I would say this is more of a personal kind of thing for me.
Which religion, if you don't mind me asking?
It is Messianic Jewish or Christian. They're both interchangeable.
Right. Okay. So is the Bible part of that?
The Bible is a part of that, but heavily on the Old Testament compared to the New.
Do you recognize that there's a lot of misogyny in the Bible?
Uh, okay, so I can see like a lot of interpretations of why some people would say that, but I wouldn't say that it's misogyny because it does ask us to cherish the woman, respect them, protect them. That is a big part of the
We're not.
love aspect,
We're not
and
just.
God created a woman to be loved. That was the only reason she was created, was to be cherished and loved,
Aiden,
and
justify.
as a partner for Adam. So I do think that it's not really misogynistic. I will say some of the traditional values that have been interpreted do become misogynistic, but I don't think that inherently the Bible is.
Aiden, it's not interpreted. There is a lot of misogyny in the Bible. Period. It's not about the way it's interpreted. It's literally written. There's a lot of like passages in there that are written that way.
Okay,
Not
for
about how you
instance.
interpret. Right, so I'm going to give you one example, and then I'm going to ask you to go and watch a video for me and come back to tell me whether or not any of the points this individual made, because he quotes all of the misogyny in the Bible. I want you to come back and then tell me whether or not any of the points he made was BS, all right? So, if I'm not mistaken, if a woman gives birth to a girl, she has to go on a 44 days cleansing period. If it's a boy, it's 22. Why is that?
You know, I'm actually not 100% read up on. I've never heard of that, to be honest. A cleansing period? That doesn't mean my point's invalid just because I've never heard of it, by the way. It just means that I'm not it's a Bible scripture reader. It just I don't really study this stuff.
The point is that they are. Like, I'm making the claim that it is, and you're saying that it's not, but then you're also saying you haven't read all of it.
No. Yeah. That doesn't disregard my point. I was just saying, could you like educate me a little bit more on that? So you're saying that they need a cleansing period, like what's the context here? I'll look it up as we're doing that.
I'm not religious. I'm not religious. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a content creator where you can go and watch him spit off about 10 to 15 points of misogyny in the Bible. But I find it a little bit ironic that you want me to educate you on your religion. Like that's not what we're here for. Religion is not on here as a prompt. So what I'd like you to do, Aidan, if you can hear me or you're still there.
I'm still here. I think you tried flipping the script. I only mentioned my religion as like kind of a turning point of like, this is why I kind of started the belief, but it's not why. And you kind of just spun it into like, well, do you know the Bible's misogynistic? I've noticed you're very good at flustering. You got a good skill with that, but it's not really proving a point. You're just.
I'm going to mute you now because you're being ridiculous. I responded to your point that there is a lot of misogyny in religion, and you said that part of your point comes from that, right? As in, part of the reason is religious. Not all, but part. So what I'm doing is tackling that part first, giving you some education and homework to go and do on it, then we can address the other reason. You coming in with ad hominems, not going to go well for you. So let's try and focus, okay?
I didn't come in ad hominems. I said you were good at you're good at your job.
Flustering?
Yeah, flustering, but you're very good at making it feel like hard to argue a stance. Put me in a position where I have to argue a stance that I don't necessarily agree with.
It's not an argument. It's educational. Like, that's all it is. It's not about arguing. It's just trying to unpack how you came to these beliefs. So let's come away from religion for a second and tell me how you come to the conclusion that what matters.
Okay, so the conclusion that I came to was the fact that I believe that body count, having sex with a woman before marriage, is not a thing. Having sex with a woman is marriage. Back in olden times, that would be marriage, correct?
Well, you're saying it's a belief. So what is the reason you think it has to be in marriage if it also wasn't based on a religious perspective, which seems to uphold that belief?
Let's ignore the religious perspective. Let's just go straight to the logical, because I think you're getting confused a little bit, and I'm also getting a little confused. So let's just step away from there. What I'm saying is sex is marriage. That is the definition. Legal marriage is not real marriage.
What?
It's all right. Legal marriage, right, is just the government allowing you to get married. That's all legal marriage is. Marriage outside of that has been historically sexual. It's been you asked a daughter's hand in marriage, and the father gives it to you, and then you are now married. Obviously, that could be the misogyny you're referring to in the Bible, but that is traditionally how it's been done.
You say the father gives it to you, and in it you referred to the woman, his daughter. He gives it to you. Like, what are you talking about?
Did I say it? Her? Sorry, but you're kind of just straying away from my point.
No, because again, like, you don't recognize how that's purity culture. And again, purity culture is misogynistic. And guess where purity culture comes from? You want to try and ignore it, but you can't leave that out. It's important.
Okay.
So where does purity culture come from?
I'm assuming you're going to be talking about the Bible.
Religion, right? Mm-hmm. So what does purity culture tell us? Purity culture tells us that a woman's value increases the less schmeck she has, especially outside of marriage. Therefore, she is more viable to be a wife that men would be drawn to. That same standard was not applied to men. Men could have schmecks. Didn't matter about that. They weren't the ones that were getting...
But I actually disagree with it, which is why I'm waiting till marriage. I can disagree with some points, Like,
That's
for
not
me personally, I'm saying I disagree with it. I also believe that men should be pure because that is marriage. That's the kind of.
that's your opinion. That's not a fact. Sex is not marriage.
Yeah, it is. It's been changed, but it is.
No, no. Again, this is just projection, and you need to recognize that because it's not a fact.
Sex is marriage.
It's not a fact.
Okay. Is
That's your opinion.
legally marriage?
Well, if that's what it takes to be married, then obviously that's what it would require. Otherwise, are you married?
I'm not married. I just told you I
No,
never
no,
had
because
sex.
if you're married and it's not like registered somewhere or legally shown or legally, how would that happen?
How would marriage happen? The same way it happens everywhere else in the world where they don't have a certificate of marriage license.
Right, so I could just go up to someone on the street and say, "Hey, we're married," and they'll go, "Yep," and then that means we're married.
No, you're kind of misinterpreting what I'm
How do you
saying.
get married? How does it get
Sex.
confirmed?
Sex is marriage.
Okay, Aiden, I either think you're trolling or you're just choosing
I
to say
swear to
it's
God, I'm
not.
not trolling. Sex is marriage. It's
Not
the
a fact.
emotional and physical commitment of, yeah.
Not a fact. I can't. I'm not going to move away from something that you are saying that is wrong. Like it is not a fact that sex is marriage, because otherwise, loads of people out there right now are married and don't even realize it.
Yeah, I do believe that. I believe people have made soul ties, and I believe that soul ties mean that they can. I know it's counterculture, and I've been the recipient of kind of criticism of this opinion, but it is kind of an opinion that I think we need to go back to. Is that sex is marriage and should be more sacred than it is today.
Why?
That sex is marriage and it should be more sacred than it is today. We kind of use it.
Yeah, why does sex have to be sacred just because you think it is? Do you realize? Do you know what the average length of time is that men last in bed? Right,
I have no idea.
4 to 7 minutes. Do you think that those 4 to 7 minutes are more soul tying than the ways in which you support your partner throughout the daily life in the relationship? You have schmex maybe once in a week for certain maybe reasons, let's say, and throughout that whole week, your relationship can't strengthen from that soul tying act of schmex that lasts 4 to 7 minutes. You're telling me that all the other things around it are less important? All those moments you share with each other are not sacred? The times where you emotionally support your partner because they're going through lots of distress, anxiety, whatever it might be,
No,
that's not
in fact, I look forward to those kind of experiences. But
why is schmex the defining moment that means you two are more soul tying than ever?
it's just chemically and biologically that
Are you
is
a
the
scientist?
release of the most hormones. That is
No, are
the
you a
most
scientist?
bonding. Yeah,
Are you a scientist?
scientifically, that is kind of the turning point
Are you a
for
scientist?
a relationship. Yeah.
Are you a scientist?
No, but that's an appeal to that's a fallacy.
But you're not. No, it's not because the point is you're just lying. You're outright lying and saying things that you think are true and they're not. Just
You're
like when
saying I'm
you say you're
lying just
married.
because you disagree. Are you a scientist? It's not like you have a scientific background that could
So what's the
specifically
chemical?
counter this specific
Aiden,
point.
what's the chemical release when you have sex?
The hormonal,
What is it? What's
the
it called?
what?
What's it called?
What's what called the sexual? I don't. I'm all right. I'm not educated in this. This is a personal belief.
I know, and that's why I think we're done here. Because every time I try and push back on something to get you to realize that what you've been led to believe is not true, you just don't like it. And that's it. Like until you want to understand that what you've been conditioned to believe, whether it's patriarchy or even whether it's potentially at times religion, you're just like putting up this brick wall because that's what you've been led to believe your whole life. I can't help you with that when every time I tell you that what you're saying is factually incorrect, you don't want to shift from that.
The thing is, you just say it's factually incorrect. You don't actually try
Why
to
just
prove
say
it.
like you just say it's a fact? You see what I'm saying?
I'm not saying it's a fact. This is a
Yes, you
personal
are.
opinion.
You're
This is a
saying
personal opinion that I have that I believe that sex is marriage. All right.
okay, so then it's not a fact.
Okay. Factually, in my opinion, it is. But if it's not a fact to everyone. I know that's not a fact to everyone. I know most people who hook up, don't believe they're married, and that's okay.
So then, yeah, so then stop telling me that I'm wrong when I tell you it's not a fact, because this
No,
is what you've been
I
doing.
would say that I feel like it's important for me to wait for a woman. That's what you're trying to argue. Why do I feel like it's necessary for me to wait for a virgin? Because I'm also a virgin.
That's not what I'm arguing. I'm actually arguing about body count. I'm not even arguing. I'm educating on it, but you're pushing back on things that are not factual that you claim to be. Staples, can I hand over to you now?
Hello, 44 She-Her. Can I just ask guest if Schmex's marriage, what happens when someone's raped? Are they married to that person?
No, I actually am very against rape. I actually believe they should be biblically time stoned if someone rapes.
So you see where your argument falls down there.
No, no, that's not. It doesn't fall down because I believe sex is the consent of two parties. And so if there is no consent on one of the party, it does not count as marriage, and I would not shame the woman at all for that.
Okay, so I've had Schmex previous to marriage. I'm now married to somebody else. Am I not legally married to that man?
No, you're legally married. And
I'm
I would
Schmexly married to him, so
I would
which
say you just had a divorce. That's basically how I would interpret it. I don't believe you had a marriage with the other guy nowadays, right?
sorry?
It's a different kind of like obviously you don't interpret it as a marriage, so it's not going to be a marriage to you, right?
So the thing is, marriage is a contract, whether that takes the romance out of it or not. Yes, it's an act of faith, it's a leap of faith to be in a long-term committed relationship.
Yeah.
But the fact remains is someone can either have that piece of paper or not and be in an equally committed relationship for the same amount of time, and it's no different.
Okay. Yeah. So I actually have a problem with the legal route of marriage. It's rooted in racism, the legally marriage, because the original reason for a legal slip is to permit interracial marriage, and I don't believe that that was okay or right in any way, shape, or form. The
I
legal
mean,
marriage was started right after slavery was abolished, and in order to prevent certain interracial marriages, they would make it, oh, we legally allow you to marry interracially. That was
you
the
were all
original.
for the dad giving the child away before, though, so let's not.
It's becoming not circular, but we've got people waiting.
No worries.
I don't think the guest is here in good faith at the moment, personally.
I think that's a very reasonable conclusion. See you
Thanks,
later.
Thanks, Kitty, as well. Appreciate it. Let's go with Flynn, age and pronouns, please.
I'm 19, he, him.
Thank you. Which prompt do you disagree with?
I don't necessarily disagree with it. I just wanted to ask you more about it, and I know you just answered it, but I feel like I believe a slightly different definition to the last guy. It was on the friend zone, and I was just wondering. So there's been times in my life where I've been doing something with a girl,
Woman.
and I've wanted more, she's not, and I've went up, and she's said she doesn't want that. I've immediately turned off the feelings and just, or not turned them off, but I've completely stopped all that and thought, right, that's cool, that's what you want. I'll just keep it as a friendship, stop anything towards that. And I believe that's being friend zoned. Would you say that's wrong?
Yeah, I'd say you got rejected, and then the offer was a friendship, and you accepted it, and now you're friends.
Okay.
In a rude way, but just I think this is what I mean is a lot of men will use the word friend zone to replace something else because either it lessens the feeling, or it's easier to say, or it's deflective. Right? She rejected your romantic advances, but then you had a friendship with each other, and that's fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that. Last one quickly before I go. On body count doesn't matter. I
Yes.
would completely agree with that. I don't think body count matters, but I would also say if someone was, say, a virgin and saving themselves for marriage, do you not think it's fair enough that they look for someone else that wants
So if they
that?
want to do that, there's nothing wrong with that. I think if you are pushing the idea onto everyone that that's what you should do, that's where I have the issue, because that's like limiting choice and upholding oppressive stances towards certain individuals, specifically women. The concept, however, of purity culture in itself is misogynistic, because it's tied to the fact that women were seen as more valuable for the less schmecks they had, and it wasn't applied in the same way to men. The onus in history was on women to find a husband, not the other way round. So women had to do whatever they were told to do to have a better chance of having a husband, which meant then they'd have a certain lifestyle, whether it's a roof over their head, whether it's a family, whether it's things paid for, whatever it was on women to behave in certain ways. The expectation was on them. So a
Okay.
woman who had schmecks would be seen as less desirable. She'd be seen as less valuable.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that all makes sense. That's all I wanted to ask.
Right, appreciate it.
No problem. Have a good one.
Cheers then. Bye bye. Next one is JS, age and pronouns, please.
Pardon?
Age and pronouns, please.
22. He.
Thank you. Which prompt do you disagree with?
Body count doesn't matter.
Just say about it.
So would you say if a woman had a body count of 800, I shouldn't take that into consideration?
Why do men go to like in numbers that just never happens? Just out of curiosity.
No, there's people who have body counts of 800. They exist out there.
And you're interacting with these women, are you?
Yeah. There's women who have body counts of 500, 800, 200. So I'm saying in those scenarios, is that something that I should ignore?
These are women
Or,
that you know.
pardon?
These are women that you know.
Yeah. I've met
Okay. Are
person
you friends with them?
I've met personally and interacted with them personally.
But are you friends with them?
I wouldn't say friends, but I've had nice conversations, interactions with them.
Okay, so why were those interactions and conversations nice? What was it about that made it nice?
But they were cool.
They were cool?
Yeah.
Cool in what way?
And they were just calm to talk to.
You got on with them?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Obviously it was a surface level encounter, but
yeah. But
yeah.
if you didn't know their body count, you might have got to know them longer.
Obviously I can't say yes or no because it was obviously the work they do requires them to have such numbers. So I wouldn't want to be involved with someone on a romantic level who's
a schmex worker?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not saying you have to, but just out
or
of
like a
curiosity,
stripper.
the reason that you wouldn't.
Or like a stripper. So yeah, so essentially my question is, if a woman did have a body count of, let's say 200, 500, 800, as a man, or even you yourself, does that make sense to take that into consideration? Is that something to look at?
Why would it?
I'm just asking, I just want to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so firstly, I wouldn't ask anyway. So unless someone's going to outright tell me, I wouldn't have any reason to know.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's just information that you know. Let's just say plain devil's advocate. It's information you know. Maybe she's told you herself. Oh, hi, I slept with 800 people. Are you okay with that? Would you personally be okay with that?
Yeah, I'd probably joke with them and say I'm on about 25, so I'm not there yet. Like, yeah, it doesn't bother me. Why would it matter?
Oh, so you would still engage in a romantic sense of said individual?
That depends on me getting to know them as a person, right? So, like, if I find that they accept me for who I am, if I find they've got a good sense of humor, if I find that in the future maybe they want a family, whatever it might be that I'm looking for in a relationship, if they are showing me that based on who they are as an individual, why wouldn't I connect with them over that?
Okay, but would you say that it's reasonable and it's perfectly logical and understandable for someone else to hear that and be like, actually, I don't think that's for me?
Cool. So as long as if you can give me the reasons why, then we've got somewhere to go with it.
No, I'm asking you if someone.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like, I would have to know the reasons why to be able to then see whether it's okay in my opinion, right? Because
what if that reason is simply because they've slept with 800 people and that's just too much?
But that's not a reason. That's just telling me what they've done. You need to tell me the reason why in your mind that bothers you.
Yeah, but the 800 people that they've slept with is a reflection of what they've done in the past. And when you're going into a relationship, and something that's very important is shared values. So me personally, I wouldn't want to be with someone with that high of a sexual history because I believe sex is something you can't just have with anyone, and it's like an intimate thing.
Why can't it be intimate when she does it with you? Just out of curiosity, why would there be no intimacy there?
Pardon?
You're assuming that if she was to have schmex with you, there'd be no intimacy there. Why wouldn't there be any intimacy?
No, but I'm saying because of the type of person she is, she's able to have sex without that intimacy, without that like
Okay.
certain like connection.
Because it's a job, right?
No, not even like not even forget the job. Like outside the job, if like you meet someone on one night stand, you don't
You're
really know
changing it
them.
now. You're changing the variables. A minute ago, it was
No,
because she was a schmex worker.
okay, okay, job or no job, right? I'm just saying, if you can have sex with someone so easily without barely knowing them, maybe you just meet them on a night out, one night stand, rare.
Do you think there are people out there on a first date that go out and for the first date maybe they go like bowling?
Yeah.
Do you not think if they could so easily go out and play bowling on the first day of meeting someone, that says something about them?
What? Because they went bowling. What do you mean?
Yeah, how can people do that? How can people go out and just like go bowling with someone the first time they've met them? I don't understand.
No, bowling's cool.
Yes,
Bowling's a
having
cool
schmeck.
activity. Bowling's a cool activity where you can have fun and get to know someone, good company. But like having sex with someone and you don't know their name is quite crazy, don't you think?
No, it's almost like you're not connecting the dots. I'm giving one example and I could give many. The point is, if someone wants to have schmex on the first date and not do it because of intimacy, but maybe because of fun, and both of them are happy to do that,
Yeah, and
why is that a problem?
that's fine for that person to do, but then that person just simply isn't for me and isn't for a lot of men. A lot of men wouldn't want someone who can just give away themselves and
Let's not
engage.
use words like that. They're not giving
Well,
themselves away. They're not
well,
giving anything away. They're
okay.
choosing to share a moment with someone.
That's that. I said it how I said it. A lot of men, me included, wouldn't want someone who just can engage in something so intimate, so willing. Okay,
JS,
sorry,
you gotta get me.
okay, just let me land. Just let me
I'm
land.
going to
So
interject at points because you need to understand the wording you're using, right? You view it as something so intimate, and someone else might not. So
okay,
essentially,
and that
what you're
person
saying-
isn't for a lot of men. What's that issue?
because the
That means
issue,
you don't
the
have shared
issue is,
values.
hold on, the
Because
issue, okay,
there's men who also wouldn't do that as well. It's not even
yeah,
just a woman thing.
but the issue is,
There's men who are virgins. There's men who have a low body count. There's
yes,
men
the
who
issue
only have
is,
sex. There's men who only have sex with people who they like and not on a surface level thing.
yes, the issue is what you've just described there is incompatibility of how you view schmex. That's not a body count issue because that woman could have schmex with one person and you could go up to her and say, hey, what does schmex mean to you? And she could go, I just see it as something fun. Then you could turn around and go, I view that differently, so we're not compatible. It's not a body count issue.
Yeah, but then them doing it with one person is a reflection of what they're saying, though.
But they want to do it for fun. They don't want to do it for intimacy. And that
But
you
if
said it's incompatible.
if
So
they
therefore you wouldn't be with her because you have different values.
no, but they've only done it with one person, so that
Yeah,
wouldn't be a
they might have
reflection.
only
That
had,
wouldn't be a
had one
reflection.
opportunity.
I'm going off the basis of their actions, their past actions, not what people are saying. So if she said that she's done it, for example, with 200 people, that would lead me to assume, okay, she doesn't really have view sex in the same regard as I do. It doesn't take a lot of emotional intimacy or emotional understanding of said person to engage in sex with them, and that's incompatible with me, with how I view it, and how a lot of men view it. And I don't
So
see
do her
the
words
issue.
matter
I
or
don't see
not?
the issue with that.
Do her words matter or not?
No, words matter to an extent, but actions are the best indicator of what a person thinks and how a person will act in the future.
That's not true. That's just an assumption.
I mean, it is true.
No, it's an
I'm gonna.
assumption.
It's more logical to go with
There are
someone's
schmex
actions.
workers. There are schmex workers out there who are happily in relationships. Do you know why? Because with their partner, it's intimate, but with other people, it's work.
And
There's
that's
no intimacy there, right? Let me
that's
finish,
their
because you've been interrupting
their
quite a lot.
choice.
Yes, you've
But
been
it's
interrupting quite a lot.
and
Let
that's
me finish, please.
and that's their
Right.
choice.
Okay, whether it's their choice or not, I'm proving how your responses are not logically consistent. Because you were saying that it's based on shared values, right?
Yeah.
So if she says to you that she views schmex as fun, she's telling you how she views it, right?
Yeah, I don't view it as fun.
Just because she's done it once doesn't mean she still doesn't view it as fun. So therefore, you wouldn't be with a woman who has had a body count of 1 if she views it as just fun because your shared values don't match, and that's fine. But the point is that's not a body count issue, because someone who has a high body count can view schmex with their partner as something very intimate, meaning when they're in a relationship, it's something they see as very intimate, but outside of that, a bit of fun. That would be having shared values.
Without going so deep into a conversation where we're having about where we're having a conversation about sex, by just knowing the numbers simply, I don't even have to even go into what you think about it, whether you see it as fun or whether you see it as an intimate act. By just simply knowing, okay, you've slept with 80 people in a year, like, okay, I can already use my discernment and my logical critical thinking to kind of see the type of person you are.
What
I don't
type
even
of
have to
person are they?
I don't have to go into a conversation of how you view
What
sex.
type of person are they?
Someone who, you can't say it on the live.
Oh, well, if it's that bad, then you're kind of proving our point, aren't you? So there you go, right? That's probably something to do with misogyny, if that's what you were not able to now say on the live. Hi, Kitty.
Hi, I'm not actually here to join in the discussion. Kitty, 42, she, her. People are having to leave the live because of the interruptions. They cannot continue to follow the conversation. Please stop interrupting where possible. Please just hold on, JS. People use screen readers here. People who have hearing impairments and things like that, and use accessibility devices to try and access this live. If there's lots of interruptions, any devices that are being used, it can't follow what's being said. So please refrain from interrupting where possible.
Right.
Hang on just a moment. I'm just now addressing the chat. The ableism that's been going on is disgusting. Stop, or the chat's getting turned off. It's simple as that. Anyway, that's all I'm up here to address. Thank you.
Thanks, Kitty. I'm going to bring up Dinedo, and then Charlotte wants to join as well. Hi, Dinedo. How'd you get your age and pronouns, please? Hello. It might have been accidental. Charlotte, hello. Michael, that's a mute. Goodbye. Hi, Charlotte.
Hello, Charlotte, 49, she, her. I'm just here to find out a bit more about myself. So, JS, I just wondered if you could tell me more about myself. My body count's like 70 odd. So I'm just interested to find out a bit more about myself.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I just said 49.
70 is still kind of mad for 49, though.
Yeah, but I'm looking to find out a bit about myself, so...
Are you currently married, or are you in a long-term situation right now?
I'm not married, no.
Are you in a relationship?
I am, yes.
Okay, has it been long-term? How long have you been?
We've been together for nearly 2 years.
Okay, that's cool. Happy the guy has accepted you.
Accepted me?
Yeah.
I didn't have to go through like...
And you've accepted him?
Well, yeah, because he's kind, he's considerate, he's empathetic, he's caring, all of the qualities that would matter to me.
Have you, throughout your life, let's say, have you consistently engaged in sexual intercourse, like, without limited emotional intimacy before, would you say?
I have done on occasion, yeah.
Yeah, okay, not on occasion, but I'm saying consistently, have you?
Well, I mean, there were times during my 14-year long-term relationship that we definitely had sex without intimacy. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, fair enough. That's great for him, but me personally and a lot of men, that just wouldn't cut it for us. But everyone's different, you know.
I'm confused though, because I was hoping to get some sort of insight, because you seem to claim that this number told you a lot about a woman. So I'm just looking to find out a bit more about myself. But you haven't really told me anything yet.
Well, obviously, in life there's exceptions. You seem like a lovely person, but if I'm like trying to get involved with someone and I just don't want to waste my time, it's just an easy way to just not waste my time by just simply knowing, okay.
Yes, I'm just going to mute you for a second because you're not answering Charlotte's question. So I
I,
wonder.
I am. I am. I just said she's the exception. Are you deaf?
Oh, goodbye.
Oh, whoa.
Wow, there we go.
But also, you know, he's literally contradicting himself by saying there's exceptions to the rule. So by him making assumptions about that person, he could be losing out on somebody that he think that, what did he say I was? I seem like a nice person or whatever. I mean, he doesn't know me from Adam. But, you know, again, it's the assumptions, isn't it? I've heard a number. I'm going to make an assumption about you.
But you're an exception, Charlotte.
I know I'm exceptional. Thank you.
Anomaly. So what a coincidence that he met someone who he believes has a high body count, but has managed to find someone that's nice or
I know.
kind, you know?
I
And it's
know.
like, he's only got to know you for about 2 minutes.
And I mean, you know, if I wasn't already attached, this could have been the start of something beautiful, look, you know, and it would have taught him that, you know, making the assumptions would be the wrong thing to be doing because he could be missing out on a really great person.
He literally got a positive opinion of you in 2 minutes, regardless of the body count. It makes you think the body count isn't really what matters. But
I know. I know. It's wild that we came to that conclusion.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Charlotte, there.
No worries. Bye.
Bye. Well, don't know what else to say. E, age and pronouns, please.
Hello?
Oh yeah, age and pronouns, please.
18, he, him.
Thank you. Which one do you disagree with?
Well, I just want to know your definition of like the friend zone. Is that like, just to clarify it?
I don't have one because I don't think it exists. So what I think is that there is an emotion or behavior that does exist in a dynamic between two people. And because they don't deal with it, they call it a friend zone, and that's deflecting and avoiding. That doesn't now make a friend zone exist. That just means they're using that term to avoid what does.
But you do accept that like numerous like dictionaries online have a accepted definition which does fit in real life.
Yeah, so like definitions are descriptive, not prescriptive, right? So therefore, unicorns have a definition, but they don't exist.
But it has a definition that can fit in day-to-day life. Like a unicorn can't fit in day-to-day life, so that's not a fitting example.
Can someone draw a picture of a unicorn and know what, like, have a conversation about it and discuss it? Like that's day-to-day life, right?
Yeah, but you know unicorns don't exist, but a friend zone can factually exist with the given definition. Yeah, because the given definition of a unicorn has supernatural properties which can't exist normally, therefore it doesn't fit. But the given definition of a friend zone does fit.
So as I said, descriptive versus prescriptive. The way that it plays out is still deflective of behaviors that do exist. So it's still being used as a shield, not actually something that does exist.
But how can you not see that the given definition does fit in real things? It's when one person wants a romantic or sexual relationship and the other one only wants a plain friendship, and that's a given definition by multiple sources.
So what happens?
Which can happen.
What happens in that situation? Because I view that as just a rejection.
Yeah, and then if they play it out and then they accept to be friends, one person is still wanting that. And
so there you go. So this is where you prove my point, right? If you are agreeing to a friendship when you want something else, you are lying, you're being deceitful, you're being dishonest.
Yeah, but I agree with you, but that is a friend zone.
Hold on, no, you're calling it the friend zone, but that's not holding the individual accountable for the behaviors they're doing, because calling it a friend zone deflects from that, it avoids from that. So if I went up to my friend and said, hey, I'm in the friend zone with her, he doesn't know what my intentions are, he doesn't know what my behaviors are going to be like, because the friend zone covers that up. The friend zone doesn't exist, my behaviors do, my feelings do. It's a cover up. The feelings exist. I could describe that dynamic that you just gave without using the word friend zone. That's why it's needed. That's what
you can use many different words without using the actual word to describe something. Look, I'm not arguing with what you're saying is incorrect there. It could be seen as like a cover up, but it doesn't mean the word can't be used as its factual definition correctly. Like the friend zone does exist. Maybe not in the way you're interpreting it as a cover up.
Are you in the friend zone on your own?
What do you mean?
Are you in the friend zone on your own or with someone else?
Well, I guess I don't see how it fits the definition. It's irrelevant there.
Because for a friend zone in your eyes to exist, you have to describe how it exists in ways where it affects other people. So I'm saying, are you in that friend zone on your own or with someone else? Like a friend.
I would say you're on your own.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. You've made up a term for yourself because you don't want to actually deal with what does exist. What exists is your feelings and your
Yeah,
behaviors.
but you can
Haven't
make
dealt
up a
with them.
term that fits in a real life thing.
Deflect and avoid. So therefore, it's for me that doesn't exist. The feelings and emotions do. You got rejected. That's it. Got rejected. You're not in any
No,
zone.
yeah. But there's a difference between you can get rejected and then stay friends, which causes you to be in a friend zone.
No, that
It doesn't
causes
mean
friendship.
you can use it as a shield. Yeah, you can use whatever argument you want as it being a shield.
That causes you to be in a friendship.
Yeah,
That's not
I don't
friendship.
disagree with that, but it is classed as a friend zone. The definition from like Wikipedia, the Cambridge Dictionary fits that as a friend zone. Like you can't argue that.
Descriptive versus prescriptive. You can read the definition of a mechanic. It doesn't make you a mechanic. Right?
Yeah,
So
you can read the definition of a friend zone doesn't make me in a friend zone. Like that's a non-one-to-one.
So again, how has the friend zone suddenly became apparent when you've just been rejected and you've decided for yourself, I'm now in this imaginary zone?
Yeah, because it's just a description of a thing where these terms happen. So these set of things happen. Like you asking someone out, they just want to be friends, and then you stay friends. That is just a linear set of things that happen.
That's a friendship.
And yeah, it's a friendship, and a friendship can be classed as a friend zone in these specific cases because it fits it. Well, they factually can. Like the definition does. The definition literally says that. Okay, you're arguing against the Cambridge Dictionary and Wikipedia and all these multiple sources. You accept that?
To each other.
Pardon?
They're not synonymous to each other. So you can't call it a friendship and a friend zone at the same time.
Yes, you can.
So you... Okay.
The definition fits both of them. The definition can fit both. Okay, I'll read the definition for you again. A situation where one person wants a romantic or sexual relationship, the other person only wants a plain relationship. So you can still have a friendship and that be true at the same time. Therefore, they can both happen at the same time.
No, they can't.
Why not? I just read the definition. What about that definition can't have a friendship?
Reading a definition doesn't make it exist. That's not how things play out in society. You realise that, right?
Yes, it is. You said the friend zone doesn't exist. Therefore, the definition of the friend zone doesn't exist when it does.
Yeah. Again, do you even know where the friend zone originates from?
No, I don't. But I don't see how that changes the definition.
Because the origins of it would not fit the definition that you are reading, which means, guess what? Things have changed.
Yeah,
and
definitions change over time, and I'm talking about the
Exactly.
current definition.
Exactly. So if things change over time, I can rebuttal that and say I don't accept that definition because I don't see how it exists when there are behaviors and emotions that do.
But the current definition of it right now does exist, yes or no? You can argue the future or past. Okay, tell me how a friendship and that can't go together. You said they don't, but you haven't described why yet.
Friendship is when two people platonically agree to something because they have boundaries in place for each other and don't want anything more or less.
Okay, and in the same... Okay, that's not the definition of a friendship, by the way, but we'll allow it. Either way, you can both platonically agree to something. If one wants more, they don't act on it, they can still platonically agree to it.
So, again, why would you be in a friendship with someone when you want something more?
That's a great question. I don't know why, but I'm just saying the definition of the friend zone is correct.
Win staples. Yeah, so predatory behavior. So again, every time you say you don't know why, I'm giving you the behavior as a definition. That's why. Don't say I don't know why. I'm telling you why. Because it's predatory behavior. But they'll call it a friend zone to avoid addressing what it actually is. It's actually predatory behavior. It's really simple. A, age and pronouns, please. Hey Eden, how's it going? Okay, I guess taking a while to connect might be accidental. Dot, age and pronouns, please.
21, he, him.
Thank you. Which point do you disagree with?
Well, firstly, I actually do agree with you on the first one. I think friend zone is just a completely new term for rejection, and it's a way to kind of, I think for particularly men, just to use it just as a shield for like an ego thing. So I do agree with you on that, but I'm just quite interested to see why you don't think body count matters, and that's me saying that from a point of view where I think it matters for both men and women equally. So, my viewpoints don't come from like this, deep-rooted misogyny, because not at all. But I definitely do think it matters equally for men and women. So I'm just curious to see why you don't. Then I can
Yeah,
debate some points.
I don't think that misogyny. Oh, appreciate Eden. Sorry, body count in itself doesn't tell you anything factual about who a person is.
Well, yeah, and that's true. Yeah, I definitely agree with
So,
that because
from
I
that
actually
So from
I
that stance, I
believe
think it's rooted in two different things: misogyny or insecurities. Sometimes both, based on
yeah,
the reasons that men give. Right.
yeah.
So when we look at things like purity culture, right?
Mhm.
Purity culture, which is linked to religion, upholds the belief that a woman's value decreases if she has schmecks with men because she's less desirable to other men, right? That
Mhm.
same judgment was never held towards men in history, right? If anything, it was praised that a man who could have schmecks with multiple women would be seen as more high value. So because
Yeah.
there was a double standard in that, and it always went against women, it's rooted in a misogynistic concept when
Mhm.
men believe that a woman's body count being low makes them more desirable because it takes away who they are as an individual. It dehumanizes them and it upholds, we've heard derogatory language that's used towards women that have had schmecks before as well, which, still is used today.
Yeah.
So ultimately, when we look at that, if you were to try and flip it around and say, I'm going to get to know this woman by going on a date with her,
Mhm.
and you are not allowed to find out her body count, I still think men would go out and date. I still think men would get into relationships. Why? Because they'd be getting to know them for who they are as an individual. And then if they don't like certain behaviors or they don't like certain things that they might say or their values, then that might be a reason as to why they don't want to be with them. But at least now they're doing it based on the person they are, not a number.
Well, yeah, exactly, and I can vouch for that because 21 now kind of matured maybe a few years ago. I wouldn't have had that viewpoint, but I definitely still do believe it matters to an extent, but I also I even I strongly believe the context of it matters more, if that makes sense to you.
So if you think the context matters, you're then coming away from body count.
No. Well, slightly, but
Give me an example of context where you ask a question, but still need to know their body count to have the answer.
well, an example I can think of, if I was dating someone older, more like the chances are they probably have had more relationships, therefore maybe have slept with more people. Whereas if I was speaking to someone my age with a lot, with a lot,
Give me an
sorry.
example of the question I asked.
Well, can you repeat it? Sorry.
Yeah, so what context would you need to find out? As in, like, you'd have to ask a question if you're talking about context, where you would still need to know their body count to have the answer.
Maybe like the relationships versus like one night stands. Like, are they committed to having that more serious commitment, but which I think is completely valid, by the way.
But you don't need to ask their body count to get the answer to that question.
But well, you're guessing if you're in a relationship, they've obviously had intercourse with that person, though. So
But
I mean,
you
it
don't
kind
know
of
how
ties
many
in.
people they've had schmecks with outside of relationships. So therefore,
Yeah,
that
well,
wouldn't be a reflection of their body count, right?
yeah, but I mean, firstly, I think it'd be quite rude and absurd to ask that because like you'll never know the answer, even if like even if a woman asks a guy. But I just think as well, like in this, I think I've got a pretty like neutral, non-biased arguments.
Can we pause on that for a second, though? Because again, I want to try and come back to, because I asked a question on the basis that you would need to know someone's body count for the answer. And because
No,
in that
but
situation,
I wouldn't ask that though because it's not appropriate. But I think men and women probably have thoughts within their head. What is it? Even if they didn't want to ask it.
but then it's guesswork, and therefore that doesn't help because you don't know the answer, and therefore it doesn't matter. So again, it would be like me saying, to use your context, how many relationships have you been in? And she says 4.
Mm-hmm.
Now I might think to myself, okay, it's likely, not factual, but likely she might have had schmecks 4 times.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether she's had schmecks outside of relationships 20 times. So her body count could be 24, as opposed to me just thinking about relationships being 4. Now, for a lot of men out there, 4 and 24 is a big gap.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It doesn't bother me, but I'm saying for a lot of men it does. So again, context doesn't tell you her body count in that situation. Therefore, it doesn't matter. because you could be with someone who you think has had schmex 4 times, but all the while it's been like 24.
Yeah, I mean, and I suppose if you're, taking that person a bit more seriously, there might be, a time and place where you do ask that, because if if you're thinking about it, overthinking it, it could potentially hinder or ruin any feelings you have towards that person. But I've also got, a kind of other argument to make, and this has come from someone, like I said, non-biased, completely neutral. I've had intercourse. 2 minutes, mum. I've had intercourse in relationships outside, but would you not agree then? The more sex you have, like the more reference points you have then in marriage. In marriage, when that's meant to be the pinnacle, that could potentially not be as good as it should be. It could potentially. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
It sounds like what you're trying to say is that they'd be able to compare.
Maybe not compare so much, because if you're in a marriage with that person, that's like a legal tie, an emotional tie, that it's just you and them. But I just think if you were to be quite unserious at an early age, then you want to commit to this person, the chances are it's probably not going to be the best sex you've ever had, and that's fine. But if you've got so much reference points, that could potentially cause a lot more problems than it would need to.
So this is why I say it's misogyny or insecurities, because what you're describing there is an insecurity,
No,
essentially.
but I think because I'm a guy saying that, but I also think for women as well.
Say the same to women.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, right? But the point is, what you're doing is when you talk about this reference points or experience, you're kind of going down the narrative that you think maybe they might not enjoy it as much with you. It might not be as exciting because they've done it so many times before. They might have done it with someone else before and it's been a lot better. They might have been in a relationship before with someone where their connection was more than it is here. So
yeah,
that's insecurity, because ultimately, if you have trust in your ability or to show up in your relationship as someone that you both want to be with each other on, I don't really see how there's an issue when it comes to the way that you have schmex with each other, when the only thing that enhances, in my opinion, the main thing, sorry, not only, the main thing that enhances your sexual experience is the way you communicate with each other. Right? Tell me what you like so that I can get you there, right? Because that's what I want for you. I want you to get there. I want you to enjoy this. I don't want you to be left out. And then let's return that to each other, right?
You definitely, exactly. And Liz, I completely agree with that. I'm reading comments here about insecure. It's nothing. It's just general questions. Because I came across your live and I thought it was quite interesting, the topics. But so, do you believe the more or less sex someone has, it will affect their ability to love that one person?
No.
Okay.
Let Charlotte join as well into this. Hi, Charlotte.
Hello, Charlotte, 49, she, her, again. I just wanted to touch on this part that you said about marriage, and I'm assuming you were insinuating that it might fail because they've got other reference points, etc. If you think about the average couple are probably going to have schmex about 3-4 times a week, right? That's probably on the high side, right? Obviously different people have different schmex drives, etc.
Yeah.
If that on average, and I'm going to be generous now, is going to last we're going to say an hour, and I know that's extremely generous, but including everything else that goes around it, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that a marriage is really going to fail because of those 3 hours a week, as opposed to everything else that happens around that and the behaviours that are encountered and how they treat each other? Do you really think that is what's going to make a marriage fail?
No, cause I agreed with Lex. There's so much more variables to go into it in terms of communicating, etc. But I just even meant from all the experiences that were maybe casual, not even to do with sex, but just hookups, stuff like that. I just feel it could possibly contribute to wider problems if because like I said, I've had sex outside relationships and relationships, but I don't know. I just think potentially, it could lead to problems if it is so encouraged, casual. We're all human, we all like casual stuff, but I think if it becomes far too normalized, it could, cause wider problems.
I think the issue is the insecurities not being addressed, because if you were here earlier, obviously my body count is considered what's going to be high, right? It's like 70 something.
Yeah.
Lots of casual in that, but I've also had like long-term relationships in my lifetime.
Yeah.
But if I was with somebody and I was to think that they're there when we're supposed to be having like, an enjoyable experience together, and they're thinking about me and other people, like
Yeah.
that is not what I want. That's not going to be the person for me. I want somebody who's with me in that moment, and we're just thinking about each other and what we can do for each other, etc., and communicating that. So this idea that women are constantly, or that anybody is constantly looking back and thinking about that one time, and that one thing that happened to her. Yeah, different experiences, you can discover different things that you like. And that's where communicating comes in. We're not just going to be kind of like thinking about that one person that did that one thing, because also women are not a monolith, neither are men, but women specifically, we work very different in that area to men. There are a lot of nerve endings going on down there. Things work very differently for us, and that changes as we age. So, it's not this one trick pony type scenario. You have to continue communicating and listening to each other, and maybe experimenting, maybe trying new things. It's just this idea that we've maxed out on experience. As somebody who's 49, I just think to myself, well, if that's it for me, if that's all I'm going to experience, then, it's just a wild idea to think that people think that, you can max out on enjoyment and experience, because you don't. It carries on.
And that's why I said context matters. I remember the last caller, he mentioned, like, I don't judge anyone on their past, but definitely when I'm speaking to someone, who I potentially would like to take a bit more seriously, I would hope we're on the kind of same wavelength and we view stuff like that similarly. And I'm just like reading the comment, like that's just my preference, and people are calling me out for it. I think I've been, very fair with my points. And
I always try to encourage not to read comments.
right, okay, sorry.
What I'd say is like saying to someone that what you're saying is from an insecure take is not an attack or having a go. It's recognizing that the insecurity is kind of saying to you that if you met a woman that had a body count of a certain number that you think is too high, you have to ask yourself, does that actually tell you anything factually about who she is?
Of course not.
Okay, so if that's the case, then the information wasn't then needed in the first place, because if it wasn't there, you'd still just get to know her and find out who she is as an individual. You could find that all the things you're looking for in a relationship are in this person. And the fact that she might have a very high body count in your mind, it would be like an insecure input for you to then think, there's reasons why I can't be with her now, because the body count is telling me something that I am making up as a story, or something that I think might happen in the future, or something that I think might come between us now because of it. Because communication solves all of those things.
Yeah,
of course. Body count isn't then going to be the reason why you argue. It's not going to be the reason why someone might cheat. It's not going to be the reason why someone is disrespectful.
Yeah, well, I think that's why most relationships break down. There's not a clear line of communication. But, I think compared to the last few callers, I've probably been like the most fairest. But, even though it is such a small database, but I can vouch. I'm 21. A lot of my peers and people I know of similar age do kind of think like that. And maybe if you don't think it's fair, if it's unjust, but they are entitled to have that preference. But say and I think you'd be surprised, like an overwhelming majority of males that age do think like that.
The majority of men that age are misogynistic, though, and insecure.
Yep, and maybe they need to do a bit of soul searching and stuff like that. But I would say if they do think like that, and we are normalizing hookup culture without commitment, like where do we meet in the middle then? Because surely, everyone wants to get married, everyone wants to have that half, like that other half where they can grow. Not everyone, but come on, it's it's a generalisation, but it's pretty fair. Come on, like everyone does want that romantic ending, you know. So
Sorry.
No.
I'm not unfair in saying that.
Oh, I guess Stables, I'm coming to a close in a second. So I'm going to pass to Charlotte to respond, but then I'm going to wrap up soon, and I will be live later on this evening.
Okay, Lex, I'll also send you a DM.
Let Charlotte respond to you, if that's okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, number one, I don't believe in marriage. I've been in long-term relationships. I've got children. I don't believe in marriage. Everybody's got a different take on that. For me, having a child, for example, is a far bigger commitment than getting married. Yeah. But, so not everybody thinks that way. Plenty of women are more than happy single. I've had huge gaps where I've been single for the longest time, and my life has been great. And at the times when I've been ready to maybe have some companionship, then when I have been dating and having conversations with people, I have never, ever, I'm 49 now, I have never, ever been asked my body count, and I have never asked anybody else. The questions that I'm interested in for me as an individual, and this is what we have to remember, is that everybody are individuals. So this whole body count thing is absolutely ridiculous, is I do have a high sex drive. So, I do have conversations around that. And, are we going to be on par in that sense? I don't care what type of smex they've had before or how much, but that is something that we then get to discover between the two of us, because this is a brand new experience. It's exciting. It's exhilarating. We get to discover each other. This is brand new to the two of us. So I don't understand wanting to know other things. All I need to know is, do you like doing it as much as I do? Do you know what I mean? Because if not, then there could be problems there. And there's not to say that even in long-term relationships, those you're not always going to match up. There's going to be times where one of you wants to, the other one doesn't, and whatever. That just happens. That's just life. Illnesses, different things can happen. But I've never understood this need to ask about the background. When you meet somebody, you're supposed to be moving forward. It's not going to give you any indicators whatsoever, unless, as I say, you want to know, is it somebody who likes it as much as you? And in which case, I don't need a number to clarify that. Because they could have been with two people, but done it 3 times a day every day that they were with that person. In which case, they would top trump how many times I've done it. Do you know what I mean? So it's like it doesn't matter in that sense how many. I just want to know, like, are we going to be matched in that sense? Have you been safe? And we can check that because we can get tested. And then let's go have some fun and figure each other out as we go along. Do you know what I mean?
Charlotte, can I ask you a quick question? And quick, Lex, I promise, and you can go.
Yeah.
No. Right. Charlotte, I actually do agree with you in terms of, I think it's so important to be happy yourself and love yourself, because if you can't do the things, how is someone else meant to make you feel like that? I'm a big believer in that. But you're saying you don't believe in marriage, but see if you could meet the man your dreams, you're just so compatible. Like, surely you would rather, and of course it's hypothetical, everyone has their own problems in relationships, marriages, but if you could find that person and, be happily ever after without sounding too Disney, you'd definitely rather that than, stay single, though. I think that's my overriding point.
I'm with that person now. Why do I need a marriage certificate?
You don't necessarily need one, but I think it's definitely a strong sign of commitment.
For you?
No, but and for many others.
And also not for many others, right?
When you look at the marriage rates, clearly, but I think that's a massive problem.
But why? How is the marriage rates increasing going to fix, I don't know, any issues that you perceive within society? Marriage gives you no protection from abuse. It gives you very little financial protection in some aspects. It doesn't give you a guarantee the relationship's going to last.
Yeah, so, I can't say for certain what it shows, but I can say it potentially suggests more people are willing to, show commitment. It could suggest that, no?
How am I not committed just because I'm not married?
No, I didn't say that. I said it could suggest people are more committed.
But that's, again, a suggestion is just an assumption, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but it doesn't take it. Yeah, but if marriage rates went up, it clearly suggests there's a level of commitment increasing. Like, come on, that is...
No, there are many people who are fully committed to each other.
Why would people spend thousands on, like you said, of course, marriage, it comes with so much complications, financial burdens, etc. People getting married would show a commitment, and say they don't worry about potential implications because they are for that person right now. That does suggest that.
Well, the divorce rates for the people who are currently married would tell you that it doesn't solve everything and it doesn't make everything better.
And on that,
Yeah.
I'm tight for time, I'm afraid. So
I really enjoyed that, guys.
I will be back later on this evening. Hold on a second, I just need to block someone. I will be back this evening, so if you want to come back, I'm more than happy to continue the conversation later. All right?
Right. See you after. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Charlotte, thank you so much.
No worries. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, everyone, if you are interested in catching up on any lives that you might have missed, you can click on my story. The 2 lives from yesterday's afternoon